Got the same DM 3 times this week. Ash, I'm applying for nursing school. I don't know if I should pick RPN program or RN program. Everyone is telling me something different. Can you please just tell me the truth? And I sat there with that for a while because when I was 19 and sitting on my bedroom floor with a laptop trying to decide the exact same thing, I made the choice with almost no real information. I picked what I picked because a family friend said it was a good idea, because the tuition was less, because it felt like I could start working faster. It turned out to be a good choice for me, but it took me 4 years to know that. So in this video, I wish somebody had said to me when I was 19. This is the honest RPN versus RN breakdown from somebody who's actually been doing this for 4 years in a Canadian hospital. Now, not from a recruiter, not from a program brochure, not from a nursing school open house. Just the real math, the real scope, the real decision framework. If you are trying to decide right now, I'm going to give you everything I know. Let's start from the part that most people get completely wrong. Here's something nobody tells you when you're deciding between RPN and RN. Most people give you advice, don't actually know the difference either. They say things like RN is the real nurse, or RPN is just an assistant, or the pay difference isn't really that different. And every single one of those statements is wrong. Half truth, dressed up as career advice. The people who do know the difference are the nurses currently working in hospitals. Usually they don't have the time or setting to explain it in a way that actually helps you decide. Most of us stumble into the choice. We pick based on the tuition cost and things like that. I am going to give you a framework that actually separates the two using public Canadian data. So when you decide, you are deciding for the right reason. Let's start with what we have in common between RPNs and RNs. Here is what surprises people. RPNs and RNs share about 80% of the same daily work. Both of us administer same medications, oral, IV, injectable, most routes. Both of us follow the exact same hospital protocols, same infection control, same documentation standards, same code procedures. Both of us hold a license, a professional license regulated by Colleges of Nurses of Ontario, or the equivalent in your province. Both of us carry legal responsibilities by our practice. If we make a decision, we are accountable for it. Difference isn't what we do day to day. The difference is what we are allowed to take on when things get complicated. That's the 20% of the change. That's everything. Now let's talk about the 20% that separates. The word that explains all of it is complexity. Patient complexity. I work with stable patients. As an RPN, that's my scope. If you are admitted for a scheduled hip replacement, if you have a chronic condition that's well managed, if you are recovering predictably, you are in my care. I work across a lot of settings: medical surgical floors in hospital, long-term cares, outpatient clinic, walk-in centers, anything, you name it. But the moment your care becomes complicated, the moment your condition becomes unstable or critical, the picture changes. That's when the RN steps forward. Not because I'm not capable to manage your condition, but because that's more of their scope of practice, because they hold more accountability and liability. Work with stable, unstable, and critical patients. That's the difference in scope. An RN can run an ICU shift. An RN is your critical care nurse in a trauma bay. An RN manages the hospital highest acuity patients in a hospital. That's where they are trained to operate, and it's important work. There are also specific medications and procedures that an RN is authorized to perform that RPNs aren't. Certain IV push medications, certain narcotics administrations by specific routes, blood products in some administration settings, like in some settings RPNs aren't allowed to give blood to. And here is the piece that new grads don't fully appreciate until they are actually working. RNs carry more legal liability precisely because they are handling higher acuity cases. When decisions have to be made under critical pressure, they are the ones documenting, defending, and answering those decisions in a ways I don't have to. That's the 20% that separates. And it's not a small 20%, it's a career-shaping 20%. And now let's discuss the part everybody actually clicked this video for: money. Let me use public Ontario data because that's why I can speak to honestly. An RPN in Ontario in 2026 makes roughly around $32 to $34 an hour, depending on where you are on the grid and where you work. Full-time hours land you around 60 to 65,000 a year gross. An RN in Ontario in 2026 starts around $39 an hour and can top out close to $55 an hour, depending on the grid, unit, and specialty. Full-time hours in a hospital setting typically land them around 80 to 100,000 a year gross. Now you're probably thinking, right, that's about $15 to $30,000 per year gap. In some specialties, critical care, ER, nurses, educator role, that gap is even bigger. But here's the honest wrinkle. Take home isn't the same as gross. Deductions eat most of the salaries. Pension is higher for RNs in some setups because their contribution of the percentage of number is bigger. Taxes climb into higher brackets too. Some of the gap gets narrower after everything comes out. I broke down the RPN take-home math in my last video, the real net after every deduction. That whole video is linked in my description. If you want full receipt of what an RPN takes home actually and everything, watch that one next. The point here is, yes, there is a meaningful pay gap, but it should not be the only basis you decide which course you want to take, RPN or RN. So how should I decide? I picked RPN because I wanted to start working sooner. RPN school is of 2 years. RN school is of 4. I was 19. I wanted to be earning within 2 years, not 4. And I wanted less student debt at the end. And I have now been doing this for 4 years. Here's what I learned about that choice. The thing I love, RPN work has range. I've worked medical surgical floors, long-term cares, outpatient. I've seen a ton of different pieces of nursing. The variety has kept me curious. It keeps me from burning out early. The thing that's harder, there's a ceiling. Certain roles are RN only. Certain career paths, nurse practitioner, ICU specialty, clinical educator, usually require you to bridge to RN first. And if you want to eventually do them, you are going to look back into school later. Would I choose RPN again? Yes, but with eyes open. If I would know at 19 that I would want to work eventually in more critical areas, I might have gone straight to RN. But at 19, I didn't know what I want to do at 27. Nobody does at 19. So I made the decision that let me start moving forward knowing that I could bridge later if I need to. And that's actually the point I want to leave you with. Here is the honest framework for choosing. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Do you want to be earning nursing income sooner or later? If yes, RPN gets you working faster. 2 years and you are licensed. If income speed isn't the priority, you can wait 4 years, take on more debt. RN opens more doors than day 1. 2. If you already know you want critical care, ICU, ER, or nurse practitioner as your long-term path, if yes, go straight RN. Bridging later is absolutely possible. Yes, I know nurses who have done it, yes, but it adds more time, money, and burnout risk. If you already know the destination, take the direct route. Number 3, how do you handle uncertainty about your future? If you are the kind of person who wants to commit to a direction early and stick with it, RN is fine. If you are the kind of person who wants to start working, get real experience, and figure it out later down the road, RPN is a very legitimate path for you to get there, okay? So there is no right or wrong answer. It's just the choice that you will make today will shape your future tomorrow. So if you know what you're going to be choosing after this video, drop in the comments down below and what stage you are in. Comment RPN, RN, nursing school, applying, whatever you stage are you in. I read every comment and I'm going to be sharing more videos like this of insights of